Hello, and we're back to finish Survivor 41. This is Survive the Unexpected with your host, Frank Pacino, and my partner in crime, Amanda Bryant. And today we're talking about the finale and our final thoughts on Survivor 41. We're a little behind because of the holidays. She's really busy with work. I get really busy with family, and I'm just a bundle of joy. And I just go a little crazy around Christmas time. So sorry. So we've been busy. Our schedule's been clashing, and I went on vacation. So sue us. But the season to me, like I've been saying for a while, just reminds me of one giant roller coaster. There's big giant hills of greatness and gets down to the pits of terrible. And that's how the best way to describe the season for me is just the big giant roller coasters. There's times I love the season, and there's times that I just could not stand what they did with these twists and everything like that.
Yeah.
Uh, I feel like we had a, I'm gonna say right now, we had a pretty good winner in Erica. Um, I'm not a Xander stan. Yeah, sorry. Uh, and I think we had a good finale. Um, what's your overall thoughts on the season and the finale?
Overall, I would say it was an okay season. I think that the cast really shined. I mean, really did. I think that I'm glad the direction they're going with the casting. Everyone even a lot of pre-jurors we liked, throughout the season, and I think that saved a lot of it. I think what did the season a little what was detrimental to the season was how much production was in it, in the sense of how they edited the season, because they didn't give Erica a shining story like she needed. And with how many twists and different things they did throughout the whole game, it's just a lot to keep up with, especially if you're a casual viewer. And no one likes to watch a show where you're lost and don't know what's going on. And I feel like I feel like they are in the editing. I do.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh, what they
Finale
really
was great. I do like a live finale. Um, I don't know. I liked in the moment finale, but they were like way too focused on like the pizza and like the champagne and being funny. And like, Jeff, you're not funny. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not supposed to be funny. Like, you're funny when you're not funny.
the
And,
reunion
you know,
was pretty boring. The problem
yeah,
is they don't have time to digest what just happened in the season.
yeah.
Erica has not seen the way she was edited. Heather has not seen the way she was edited. Deshaun, none of them seen the way they're portrayed
They're
on
all dirty
screen.
and gross. Like,
Right.
everyone, you're like sitting next to everyone else showered and clean and looking nice, and you're just sitting there all gross and feeling gross and hungry. And I just don't understand. I don't know. I didn't like it. I like that they read the boats there. I do like that they read the boats there.
Me too.
I like that part, but they should have stopped. Read the boats and then went to a live finale.
Yeah.
Holiday.
Because like there's gonna be leaks no matter what. So them not reading the votes into the end, most of the time, if you really want to figure out who wins the season, you pretty much can if you really look for it hard enough.
Yeah.
So what's the harm of just reading the votes there? Just read the votes, get it
Right.
over with. Then, like you said, go to like a live finale where they've seen time to see the season and digest the season and go from there because I was interested in the way like see what Heather's reaction to the way she was edited or Erica the way she was edited. The the thing what people can say really badly about Erica's win is that you can say two twists saved her game at two different times. The hourglass twist, which was awful, we hated it, it was dumb. And the vantage twist that she just got.
Yeah.
So they get to the new beach, which really isn't necessary to go to a new beach. Like the surviving elements is not the number five thing. The reason why I watched the show. Um,
Yeah, see, that's the problem. Is a lot of older fans liked the survival aspect of it. You know what I mean? Like, we don't per se. We like the game play more. Because I feel like we're like more of an involved sense, and we like the social interaction of Survivor
Mm.
versus the survival part of Survivor. But a lot of older fans like the survival part of it, and like when they said in this season, like this is the hardest season ever, that was definitely not the case. Like I thought they had a pretty cushiony season compared to some others. I mean,
I,
they weren't stuck in the shelter for 10 days straight under rain like it wasn't like Survivor Nicaraguan.
yeah,
Like
I think they had different disadvantages, like the speed of the
yeah,
game, no rice, really
yeah,
would be hard.
yeah,
But it wasn't like second chances. We seen them in the rain for days. Where you see Kelly Wentworth sitting in the water because it's warmer to sit in the water than it is to stand underneath the cold rain. So yeah, and Africa was no joke. The
yeah,
Australian outback was no joke. There's plenty of elements seasons that may be difficult than this, but I can see where some they can compare some ways. It was amped up to the 10th degree with the food, and that's the biggest obstacle I think for this season is the food that they weren't given rice, which I don't understand why. Just give them rice. I don't doesn't add anything to the show. I feel like the advantage at Final Five, I did not like it. Did you care for it? I think it was dumb. They basically all got a decipher, and if you just and then they it was a race. First one to decipher it and look for
yeah.
advantage that was sitting in a tree, get advantage of the challenge.
I just don't
And
understand why you need advantages at Final Five. You're already at Final Five. I mean, like you're
right,
like literally 2 steps away from like pleading your case for $1 million. Like just let it play out. Like why do you need advantage at Final Five? I don't.
right. I don't get
I
it
feel like
either.
do and die was or the do or die twist was stupid. At Final
Yeah,
Seven, do that
yeah,
twist do that twist at like Final 11. There's
yeah,
still a good chunk of people left in the game where anything could happen, and you could send out a power player, you could send out a floater, you could send out a bottom. Like I want more options of people that can go home. And when you're at Final Seven, that's a feat. That's a feat starting from what they start with 16,
no, 18.
18. Imagine was it 18?
Yeah, it's three tribes of six.
Okay, yeah, that's right. So imagine, 7 out of 18, that's 11 tribals. That's a feat to get to. So why are you giving them even more? Why are you giving the chance of 2 out of 3 that
Yeah.
person was to go home automatically? I didn't like that.
So
I
like
thought that was the worst twist of the season.
so we had a lot of highs. Like I said, the Sham blindside, big high.
Yeah,
Um, the very first or the
the merge vote.
merge or tribal before jury was a big upset up.
Hmm.
Um, the episode, and then there was a few steps there. The pre-jury had a lot of ups. We really liked the pre-jury. Uh, I felt like the end game though had too many advantages. It really slowed the pace down and hurt the pace. Where it really hurt somebody's like Ricard's game. Honestly, the twist really hurt Ricard's game this season. He was affected by the hourglass twist. He was affected by the do or die twist. Deshaun was going to go if he wasn't part of that twist and survived. And Deshaun was a big reason why Ricard went.
Yeah.
Um, and then the final five advantage, like Ricard really got screwed over by these twists at the merge.
Ricard was easily the best strategic player in that game.
Yeah,
Out of that final five, he was the most strategic. But do the most strategic always deserve to win? I you know
I think he probably would have won with the landslide. I think it's one of those things that even if it wasn't true, you can only say somebody's the biggest threat in the game for so long without it becoming true.
Right.
And once it becomes true, perception is reality. And if everybody perceives that, then it's a reality. And for him to get that far as the biggest threat, knowing that he's the biggest threat and flaunting it at tribals, at the camp, um, he probably would have won. And if Erica didn't find that advantage, Ricard probably wins that immunity challenge, and he has a chance to win Final Four, and he win or fire.
Yeah,
He might make it to the end and win the game. So that Erica finding that advantage single handedly took Ricard out of this game,
for sure. Took
and
the card
it's
out for sure.
I think Erica had a good win. I think she was really socially aware. Uh,
She gave a great final.
her final tribal was really good. Um, it's hard to say. I wouldn't say it's like the great one of the greatest of all time, but it's definitely a lot better than probably half the winners. Maybe
Yeah.
probably at least 15 easily winners that she did at a better final
Oh,
tribal than.
a final tribe better than their final tribal is what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I agree with that. Yeah.
So
But
she,
she also had a couple of duds next to her. I
yeah.
thought that Xander and Deshaun gave horrible final tribals. Horrible.
Um, so I have actually used this strategy in orgs before, where when people go home, that matters in the placement of the jury.
Yeah.
So Heather and then Ricard and Heather going home, who were batting for Erica so late in the game, going to Ponderosa, talking about the game. They think Erica's playing phenomenal. That leaves the impression onto the jury where that's that's something that's not looked at enough, I don't think, is people placing the right people at the right time going to
Yeah.
the jury. Because if somebody's not on your side, it's better to get rid of them early. That way they don't go to the jury bitter, mad, and talking bad about you. You want somebody who is going to talk about you glowingly, who's going to
Right.
be like, man, they're playing amazing. I can't believe it.
What
You don't
Shan
want,
did when she left. She was saying, Ricard has my vote 100%, and
yeah,
that kind of hurt him in a way.
yeah.
I
And
think it
so,
did.
yeah. But I think he made the right choice of getting rid of Shan when he did, because if he didn't do it then, he was going to be in trouble later. And I think Erica was better for his game at that point. And if, like you said, if that twist, that final five doesn't happen, and probably wins the game, which would have been like he played the end game perfectly there.
He had some people after him, though. He would have a hard time. I still think he would have a hard time getting there in the sense of, like, everyone was gunning for him and knew that he was going to win. So seeing him in fire making would have been interesting.
Hmm. So I think, yeah, I think, like I said, the advantages really hurt. I think Erica. I think the edit actually really hurts Erica because she wins that final five immunity challenge,
Yep.
then takes Heather to the state dinner, and they talk about their great relationship, how it started and how it's grown and how they really respect each other. And it's like the first time we're hearing this conversation about each other. It's like, why are we waiting to the finale to hear about this duo who's been together since, they said, like, since the beginning of the game? Why aren't we hearing about this?
Survivor needs to be hour and a half long episodes.
Yeah,
They just do. Like,
yeah,
there's too many people. There's too many great stories that we miss out on. They cut the family visit this season.
yeah.
They recorded it and had it, and they decided to leave it out. I know you're fine with that because you don't care about the family visits, but I think it's a big part of Survivor. I'm surprised about that they decide to cut that. Or, for example, like they decide to cut the intro. A lot of people like the intro with their names and people's pictures and whatever. I personally love no intro, but I know a lot of people view that as a staple and want that as a part of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's the editing. The editing is going back to the editing. The editing, I think they just I don't know. They focused on too many things that weren't relevant to Erica's win. And that's why we were, and I understand they don't want to give the winner away, but they did it so much to the point that when we got to the end, we're like, wow, why did she win? How did she win? You had to really sit and look and follow Erica's game. Imagine if you weren't a fan of Erica. We were
Mhm.
fans of Erica. We know between us, we paid attention to Erica a little bit more. I feel like than maybe some other people would have. A casual viewer would have, and they they just didn't do her enough justice. They just
But
didn't.
I tried to read the edit too much. And I was like, dude, Xander or Ricard's gonna win because they've been all about them. Deshaun's been all over the screen, like, and then you had these two girls who aren't even being like shown. Um,
And
I'm
I
glad.
will say that they won the first how many they didn't have to go tribal in
Yeah,
pre-merge. So, I understand it's hard to make a story off someone when there's no story there.
hmm I agree. It's just, but but they needed to show the relationship with Heather and Erica. They needed to
Somebody's
establish
still
that.
already yawning.
No, you're fine. So what I was thinking is, if they don't want to expand the TV episode, what they can do is release an hour and a half, 2 hour episode on Paramount Plus and
Yeah.
say there's an extended episode of episode blah 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 where we can show more things, but we just can't with the TV audience. So it gives more for gives people who want to see more an option to see more. I'll sit through an hour and a half, 2 hour episode of
Oh hell
Survivor.
yeah,
So
absolutely,
especially if it's gonna be good.
absolutely. Especially with
So
character
and
development, character story, character
right.
development.
Right, and then we could
Absolutely.
see maybe get more subscribers to Paramount Plus, and then gives them an incentive to watch it. Like
So much
it's just
content.
like why aren't they thinking of something like that where
Well,
it's
and they
just
do it for Big Brother. They do Big Brother
yeah
4 times a week. They do Big Brother live feeds 24/7. Like
right
you can't tell me they don't cost some money. You know what
right
I mean? Like not to talk about production and everything, 'cause I know it's not the greatest to discuss it, but they we do think they do themselves a disservice with Survivor. They put so much time and energy into Big Brother, and we love Big Brother. Big Brother's great, but we like Survivor more. You know what
yeah
I mean?
so
Like, so I feel like Survivor has more die hard fans than Big Brother does. And they put so much time and money into Big Brother. I just don't get it.
yeah I
And the
think
prize money is only a quarter of a million off.
I think they could definitely get more people on Paramount Plus if they did something where there's an extended episode where they show the same footage that showed in the real episode, but then they just edit more things into the episode.
Oh yeah.
You can't tell me there's not a way to do that, and it gives the fans a little bit more. And this way, you can flesh out characters more and show little conversations and show little hints. And if you get confused like how this happened, like, oh, we showed it on Paramount Plus. Go check out Paramount Plus where you get to see the relationship of Erica and Heather really start to blossom on episode 2. We couldn't show it on the TV, but we showed it on Paramount Plus. Something like that where it expands
I mean,
the
think
story.
about think about Big Brother. Live feeds. I'm a live feed watcher. You're a live feed watcher, aren't you?
Yeah.
Think about how many conversations go on at the same time in different rooms. You have a whole fucking beach. You know what I mean? And literally infinite amount of time. So you can't tell me there's not conversations that they get on camera that they wouldn't be willing to, put out there. I think you're right. I can't believe they don't do more. And maybe they like the control of the editing, they get to do what they want to do type of thing. But I think they do themselves a disservice. I really
Yeah.
do.
um you're here to tell a story, and this story was incomplete. It was very incomplete where we didn't get to see a lot of the story that we should have seen, and that's my biggest issue. So let's talk about the challenge itself at Final Five. Do what you think about it, where they had to untie knots and climb up and get to the puzzle like they have before. uh do you like this sort of challenge?
I mean, it's like all the challenges. You know what I mean? You did literally describe like all challenges. It's just nothing. I don't know. Something special. I just. I mean, it's typical. It's a double-edged sword because you could say, it's really not fair to the older contestants of the game, but the older contestants sign up for the game knowing that they're gonna sign up for that. You know what I mean? So it's a double-edged sword in the sense of like, there's both sides to it. Um, I don't mind them. I didn't mind it. It's okay. It's
Yeah,
fine.
and Erica barely beating Ricard, where it really showed that advantage really helped. Was kind of cool way to show it. Um,
She got a great advantage in that challenge. Being
yeah, and
untapped.
it came down to Deshaun and Ricard, and Ricard tried to play the sympathy card with Xander, where I think this is a real big misfire from Xander right here, where Ricard's talking to Xander, and Xander's like, "What if I just play my idol for you and save you? It'd be my big move," and things like that. You don't say that sort of thing unless you're gonna do it. You can say it in your confessional, but don't say it to somebody who's going to jury. Leave a bitter taste in their mouth because they feel like they got burnt for no reason. There's no reason to burn them.
That jury went in not voting for Xander
No,
because of little stupid mistakes like that he did, and he's young. Okay, we gotta remember Xander's
yeah,
20. If he would have won, he would have been the youngest winner ever on Survivor. I think Fabio was
yeah.
21 when he won. but he's young. He doesn't realize how he comes off and how young he. You know what I mean? He's just naive.
Yeah. They told the story like Xander was the one in position of power, but in all reality, Erica was throughout the season. And if you go back and look, you can see that sort of thing. Um, but this that was just a miscalculation by Xander. So Ricard goes home. Uh, so it's final four, and we have the stacking challenge where you the stack and pull back the rope.
Yep. I love that
Uh,
challenge.
it's an intense challenge. I would be awful at it.
I don't know. I'd say I'd be all right, but I probably won't.
Xander ends up winning, and I texted you. I was like, Xander's winning the season. I really thought Xander was winning the season at that point. Just the
Mhm.
way he was edited, the big hero music, and you seen it. I was like, this man's winning. He's winning. People love him. They made him to be like a god in that season. When I haven't been the hugest fan of his game, but I just thought the edit was there for
Right.
him,
Yeah.
and if really we didn't get to see him in a bad light too much throughout the season, all the bad stuff we've seen was in this episode.
Literally was in this episode, and it all started when he didn't take Heather. You know what I mean? When he should have versed Heather at Final Four. He
I
should
think he
have
should have
pulled the
versed
trigger for
Erica.
Wood
If he
or
versed Eric,
Erica.
if he
Yeah,
versed Erica, he beats
no,
Erica.
Erica couldn't do it.
He probably wins.
The
That was
jury
his.
noticed that too and was like,
So
why did you do that? And I understand his reasoning in the sense of like he didn't want to give Erica another check mark on her booklet, but if
you
you're
take
yeah, if
you
you
take
put
that
someone
person out.
there, yeah,
You
you
try to
take
take
that.
that person out. You because you take your biggest competition, you throw in the fire making, you hope for the best because you don't just take them to the end because
Right.
they're the favorite to win anyways.
Yeah.
So like
Listen though, I'm glad that fucking Heather did not make it to the final three. She doesn't deserve to be there. I'm glad that she didn't make it there. And I
so
told you guys, I'm just gonna say that real quick. I said it in the last podcast. I told you guys Heather wasn't going to the finals, and y'all were like, "Just watch, Amanda. Just wait."
you
Hello,
you were
hello. I was
right. You
right.
were right. I was
That's
wrong.
right. Uh-huh.
I'll eat all the crow because I was for sure I would have put like
I
$100
should have bet money
easily.
against you
You
guys.
should have because
I
I
should
was
have.
for
I should
sure
have put money
for
that Heather
sure
was gonna
thought
make
Heather
the
was gonna be
finals.
in that finals. I was like, dude, I thought Heather was gonna be a lock from like final 8 on or something. So
Xander
Xander,
literally shaped his whole end off of one reaction from Tribal
yeah, that
during
When
Erica's final.
Deshaun, yeah,
Yeah,
Deshaun blew up
literally,
Erica's
that's what
spot.
he shaped his whole final decision on.
And then Erica played it up nice to Xander too.
Oh,
She did her
good.
part with the conversation, but and it was just mind boggling to me. I was just like watching. It wasn't quite as bad as Wu taking Tony,
No,
but it was still one of the biggest blunders in Survivor history
yeah,
to take something like that to the end. When you have Deshaun, who's been saying Erica's a threat for 5 rounds now, or since the beginning of the game, really.
yeah,
Uh,
and
Danny
Danny.
felt that way,
Yep,
and people are saying that way, and you had people going to bat for Erica in the jury. Like there was so many signs to not let Erica just get there
yeah.
that it was just a misread, and maybe Xander plays again, he doesn't make that mistake. If
They
he takes
definitely explained at the end on how Xander lost instead of how Erica won, and that's also piling that on top of the edit of her not getting a light with pre-jury and her getting the advantages and things. I don't know. It's just like I really feel for Erica because Xander had a better pre-juror story than she did. So and the editors knew that Xander was going to make second place. So they had to take his story in the pre-jury and make it of a light. Him and Deshaun. Even though Deshaun was on the winning tribe too, he was still having some adversity there. And Erica was always in the good light, at least for the most part of pre-jury and Luvu. She was also a rock drawer twice, a white rock drawer twice. So I mean, a lot of her game had luck in it. It did. A lot of it had luck in it. A lot of it had, she was secluded from the tribe, I think, for 2 days, and then once again, right?
So that was the first time for
The first
the
time she was
where
for
she had
two
the
days.
hourglass thing, which was dumb. It was like,
Yeah.
who's not gonna hit that?
But like, that's what I don't like. Is like everyone's like blaming Erica for that, but Erica's the one that drew the white. Anyone could have drawn that white rock. Anybody
Right.
could have, and just because it was her, what else was she supposed to do? So, I remember everyone saying if she says no, she's the dumbest Survivor player ever.
I
What
said
else was
that.
she supposed to do? You know what
Right.
I mean? So I
It's not
always
her.
blame production. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not her fault.
Mm-mm.
Look, she did what she had to do. She didn't put those twists into play. She wasn't the one who wanted to be secluded. She didn't
Right.
want to do that. And yes, she would have gone home if she didn't hit that hourglass. That is pretty much clear. We understand that. Does that take away from her game? Yeah, a little bit, but it's not her fault.
Right.
The twist put it in there. Um,
Erica didn't make a actively bad decision in the
no,
game.
she didn't
And
make
that's
an
why
actively
I
bad
think she's
decision.
yeah, and I think that's partly why she's a good winner. I mean, I
Yeah.
know a lot of winners are, you can say the same thing, but she never had much adversity because she never had the chance to.
I feel like from the Shan vote on, she had the game uh in the palm of her hands and control wise. Because
Yeah.
she was the one who came up with the plan to split the votes between Shan and Leanne. And by doing that, it put a wedge into Deshaun, Danny, and Leanne's relationship because they put votes on her and
Yep.
blindsided Shan. Um, so that was great for Erica and Ricard and Heather and people like that. And then by doing that, they gained control. They gained the numbers, and she
And
could
it
have
puts
easily took out
her in
Ricard.
a power position because
Yeah,
she's the one who initiated these conversations with these people.
and she could. And we another thing we didn't get to see is her and Ricard's relationship really blossom. I feel like the vote with Nasir, there was a reason why Ricard wanted Nasir out so bad is because he had a good relationship with Erica and Heather, which we did not get to see that really build.
Until he mentions it
And
later.
yeah, later on the season, like again, another portion where if we got to see that established relationship, we would understand the Nasir blind side a little bit more. We would understand Ricard's making a great play by taking Nasir out because he has these two girls, which
Yep.
we speculated on, but we didn't know for sure because we weren't shown that.
And it wasn't 100% of Ricard having those two girls because Erica knew what she was doing with
Yeah,
that relationship with Ricard too. You know what I
yeah,
mean? She had amazing game awareness, and I think
yeah,
that's part of the reason why the jury brought that up. To Xander later on is because they knew that Erica's game awareness. She knew when she was on the bottom. She knew when she was in a good position. And she executed her game as much as she could until the
yeah.
twist got involved.
Like
We'll
so,
find out the twist. I mean,
final
she didn't
eight.
know about, but
Final eight, Shan goes home. Great move for Shan. She was
yeah.
really, or for Erica, she was really going for her. Final seven, she could have took out Ricard there, but then she would have lost the numbers, and that's not very good for her because
Right.
she's not just like she won a couple immunities, but she's not like a immunity horse. So it's not like somebody who could just win a bunch of immunities. And guess what? What if Xander plays his idol or something, and it's Eric. All kinds of wonkiness could happen with the do or die twist, which she wasn't aware of. But so
I
Leanna
hope the
goes
do or
home.
die twist is over after Survivor
Oh,
42. I hope so
please, God, it was
bad.
so dumb. So
It was
Leanna
so
goes.
dumb.
She didn't really have a great relationship with, and then she decides. This to me right here is a big win for her. Her saving Deshaun and sending Danny home because the guys wanted to send Deshaun home, and
Oh,
she
Deshaun was the
got what
worst.
she
Yeah.
want. Yeah, she got what she wanted and sent Danny home, and then that set up Final Five for
Yep.
her, where she was with the pair with Heather.
Safe with everyone that was going.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so that to me is where her game really stepped up was the end game. She was always in the majority throughout the merge,
Yep.
and she was never blindsided. You can't say that about Xander. You can't say that about Deshaun. You can't say that they were in the numbers every time because they weren't. Erica was. She was always in the numbers.
Always in the numbers.
And
Whether the numbers were at the bottom or the numbers were a power alliance, she was good either way.
yeah, so
That's a good floater game.
right.
That's the good floater game that everyone wants to play. Not this, just going to wherever the best, the power is, or whoever wins immunity. You're not going
Yeah.
and doing whatever they want to do. That's not a floater. A floater
It's
is a
playing both
team that
sides.
bounces between both alliances and plays a good middle game and doesn't
Uh-huh.
get caught. Like
Yeah.
Sarah.
Yeah.
Sarah's a good middle game player.
That's a good thing. That's what something you can compare it to. She was
Mm-hmm.
not quite as cutthroat as Sarah was, but she did play similar to Sarah. Um, but yeah, we get to the
People are comparing her game a lot to Adam. And I started watching Millennials versus Gen X recently because I wanted to see where that comparison was. And I don't really see it a whole
I don't
lot.
see it at
I
all.
really don't because Adam was always a target and always had advantages and like all these other crazy things all the time. And he had an arch nemesis and Jay. And I just don't.
I love Adam, but
I
Adam,
love him
it
too.
was like, have you ever seen the movie Up?
Hmm.
You know how the dogs are like squirrel. That's
Yeah.
what I feel like Adam's game was sometimes
Yeah.
throughout the game. Like he'd
It's
be
way
focused on one
chaotic.
thing, and next thing you know, he'd be like, oh, that was direction.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. If someone could explain, if someone wants to explain it to us, if someone sees some similarities in Adam and Erica's game, let me know. But I don't know. For some reason, I just don't see it.
we when we get to Final Tribal Council, it's probably two of the worst ones we've ever seen with Erica. Deshaun had a really bad one. Xander had an awful one.
I thought Deshaun's was worse than Xander's.
I think
So bad.
Deshaun had worse of a chance.
Yeah.
But Xander, I've never seen someone pause the way Xander did during a question. Where the jury literally got irritated. It's like I asked you a simple question, like answer my question, and Leanna asked him, "Was like, give me something where you were socially aware in the game." And he just sat there and said, and there was like a big long pause. And
Yeah.
I want to know how real that pause was because they were like she had to spell out what she was asking for him, and that was never good. And once I seen that, I was like, oh, he's not winning. He's
No.
not one. Deshaun,
I
we
don't
did.
think though that he deserved to be a zero vote finalist.
I think he deserved the one vote over Deshaun.
Yes, I
I think
agree.
Deshaun deserved 0 votes, and Xander deserved the one vote. Or Xander should have been second. I think he
Yeah.
played a better game than Deshaun. Deshaun was too
People forget sometimes
confrontational.
that Xander wasn't second. Xander was third in this
Yeah.
game. That's crazy.
Yeah, Deshaun was too confrontational throughout the season,
Mhm.
and he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And you can't do that in a game where they're voting for you to win the game. Um, because even Shan had a real question said this was probably one of the toughest questions that they had through the three was, did you use like doing it for the people? Because they talked about doing it for their people, the black community. That did he use that against Shannon to vote her out? And he he's like, no, I never did that, da da da. And it was a very powerful moment, but you could just tell that the jury was not feeling Xander or Deshaun. And I
No.
think for one, a lot of it had to do with the way Erica built her relationships with people and who went to the jury last. Ricard, high on Erica. Um, Danny, high on Erica.
Yeah.
Um, Heather, high and Erica. Shan was high and trying to get rid of Erica. So like these people that like 4 out of the last 5 people that went
Yeah.
home were seeing Erica as a huge target and or
And,
a great ally, and
and she
that
was able to turn
matters.
it around and get and
Yeah,
save herself and get the others out.
right. And like a Tiffany and Aviv, she didn't have a great relationship with she didn't get a chance to know him that well, but that didn't matter because they were out so early and she could justify it by saying you guys are only here for like 3 days.
Three
There's
days.
nothing I
Yeah.
could do with that relationship, and that's true. By sending those people home so early where she didn't have a great relationship with, like they have less sway within the jury.
Right. Who was the first juror?
It was Tiffany.
Tiffany. That's right. Yep.
It was Tiffany, and
Evie
then I'm
and
trying to
Nasir.
this year. Then Aviv,
Evie.
Evie, sorry.
Hmm.
So and though that matters, where people are singing your praises or really going after you,
Hmm.
and I just thought it was a really well final tribal. Xander, there's a lot of Xander stands out there. You see, there's a GoFundMe page for him.
Yes, I did see that. I mean, I like Xander. I think Xander's a shoe in to come back. I mean,
Yeah,
he's going to be another like Amanda Kimmel, where he'll finish like, in the finals twice, like back to back or something crazy like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could see that from him. And he's young. He's got so much Survivor ahead of him. He could easily be a four-time returnee in the next 20 seasons again. You know what I mean?
you
I
know
think they're
who
going to drop the numbers eventually and just go by Survivor at some point in time and just have seasons
you
like the
know who he reminds
challenge.
me of a little bit of Coach.
Yes,
He
of
reminds
course.
me of a little bit of Coach, where he's a little bit better player than Coach.
Hmm.
Um, but like his stories, the way he talks, and people look at him like, "What the hell is he saying?" Sometimes, that's who reminds me of Coach. He's a great
Yeah,
character. He'll be back.
good character.
Honestly, there's probably only like 4 or 5 people who I don't think would ever get a call back from this cast, and that's it.
Honestly, I think JD would get a call back.
Yeah, I think
Swear.
JD. I think Brad might have a chance to get a call back.
Mhm.
He was great for the few episodes we got.
Nasir,
Volche could get called back. I think he kind of got screwed a little bit.
he did.
Um, but like I wouldn't want to see like the I can't remember Abraham. I don't. He doesn't have to play
Yeah.
again. Genie doesn't have to play again. That was a big high end Genie. Um, so it's just like those few people. Liana, I don't think I'd be okay with not
No,
seeing her
I won't
again.
stay on it
I
again.
would like to see Sydney. I would like to see Sydney game. Nasir is almost a lock for me. I think Nasir is going to get for sure get a call back.
Not for sure.
Ricard, Shan, Erica will for sure get a call back. She
Tiffany,
won.
I would even want to see Tiffany back
Hmm.
for real.
Evie would probably get
Her
called.
and
There's a
Sean.
decent chance Evie would get a call back.
Hmm.
Um,
I
Danny,
could.
I don't think Danny would play again. I think Danny
No,
was a
I
one
don't
and
think so.
done type
I
player.
mean, usually the athletes are, except for Brad Culpepper.
Yeah, one and done type player. And he's a big guy. It probably took a lot out of him.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
he's quite bigger. I think he's a little bit bigger than Brad. So
Some great. There were some great characters this season.
mhm.
That's what and the rumors are now. Of course, I don't look too far into it because I don't like spoiling myself. But rumors are that the 42 cast is even better. It's
I
even
hope
better.
so.
Yeah,
Um,
I
I
think that
just
I don't know. I think the cast does not look promising, and I'm probably not a, not in the majority of saying that, but looking at their cast photos and names and ages, I'm just not. I don't know. I'm not excited for the
uh
season.
I'm
I'm
really
not looking forward.
worried with these twists. Like I'm tired. I
Yeah.
just don't want to like look. The cast saved this season. If this was a bad cast, this would
Uh-huh.
be a bottom 3 season.
Absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
cast saved this season. If it was a bad cast or even an average cast, it would be a really bad season. But the
Yeah.
cast was so good that we got to see some great moments
Yeah.
within the season. So I have a few questions for you to close out. Um, what would you say the best moment of the season was?
Probably the Shan blind side was probably the top, the tippy top of that roller coaster for me was the
Yeah.
Shan blind side or the fire making because the
Oh,
fire making
you mentioned this
absolutely
fire making.
dude, the
The-
fire making was absolutely
Absolutely great.
phenomenal, absolutely
Yes.
phenomenal. And you were literally on the edge of your seat, not knowing who was gonna
Hmm.
win. Could you imagine if he would have lost to Heather?
I would
The
have
internet
cried.
would have been on fire, man.
I would have cried. If
Oh
that was if I was in that situation, Heather handled it way better than most people would have. I would
yeah,
have been devastated. This like losing fire like that. Her flame was going so much longer than
a while.
Deshaun's, and it was just like, oh. To me, it's either the Sham blind side or the the trying to take the advantage the last. vote where Leanna asked Xander, "Can I have your
Oh
idol?"
yeah.
That moment,
Oh, we can have this fake.
yeah. If Xander wins the season, that's played into the end of Survivor time.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely. I agree. I
um,
agree.
the what would you say the best move was of the season?
Probably the best move was Ricard turning on Shan. That was
Yeah.
probably the best move of the season.
So I have a couple nominees. There's a few.
Sure.
Shan taking JD's vote and voting him out.
Oh yeah,
Great.
that was good. That was
Um,
really good.
You can say Ricard convincing Shan to vote out in the Seer. That
Hmm.
really set him up for the voting out Shan. Voting out Shan for Ricard
Yeah.
and Erica.
Hmm.
And then Erica convincing the guys to vote out Danny instead of Deshaun. Those
Yeah.
are some of the best moves to me of the season. To me, I gotta give it to Shan because she was the star and the player of the season. I think.
Mhm.
Besides, as a character, she stood out more than everybody else.
Shan.
But
Oh
she
yeah.
the
She had the most
edit helped
professionals.
her. Yeah,
Yeah, she had the most professionals.
yeah. The best character was to you was Shan, right?
I don't. If you would have asked me this before merge, absolutely. But she made so many bad mistakes, and I didn't really like her turn of her personality later on. So I would say the best character this season was probably Xander.
Yeah, I would still say Shan, but I wasn't feeling Xander the way everybody else was, and
Right.
I felt that way.
Right. I yes.
But the best player of the season,
Hard.
Ricard. Ricard's the best player of the season. Um, Physically, strategically, and I feel like his social game is a little bit underrated because we didn't get to see a lot of the relationships he built.
I
Um,
think Erica had the best social game.
yeah, Erica had the best
Talked a
social game.
lot, but she had the best social game.
Yeah, I think at one point Shan was in
Yeah.
competition for that, but she flushed it down the toilet because she couldn't make up her mind.
Right.
She wanted to play all sides when she kind of had to
Liana
pick a
was
side.
so bad. Liana was such a bad player. I hope she
Yeah,
doesn't
well,
come
I mean,
back.
I
Not
don't, I
really
wasn't
Liana.
high on her either.
Mm.
She was like, yeah, I wasn't super high on her. Um, should Xander have saved Ricard at Final Five?
I don't think he would have won against Ricard either. I don't think it would have mattered.
No, I think his mistake was Final Four.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
The-
Taking Erica and not making her go to fire, especially after he sat there and watched her not be able to make fire, was
right,
huge detriment to his game.
right, and all right. So, do you think the move is to go into fire at Final Four?
Yes, he should have taken Erica to.
I'm talking about in general, like speaking in general. Do you think it's the smarter play the flash for the jury to go to Final Four fire making?
It depends on how your game is played, I guess. If you need to do that, you need to do that. And you need to be aware that you need to do that. But if you've already played a kick ass game and this is you don't need this check mark, then make the easy decision and take the goat to the end.
I agree. I think it's a
Mhm.
player base and who's left in the game. Like this was the right move. He could make fire. You take somebody who's your biggest threat, you throw you down a fire with them, and you go head to head with them and you beat them because you know you can make fire. That's did Ricard blindside Shan at the right time?
No, I don't think so. I think that he did it a little too early. He could have rode that relationship and hold her accountable, like she tries to hold everybody else accountable to deals and advantages and other things. I think he should have turned that around and used that on her and made her turn on Liana. That's what he should have done. He just didn't do it.
I think he made the right decision. The reason why I made the right because at the other option was losing Erica. He didn't want to lose Erica. And looking at the season, and now I can say this by a little bias because we've seen the results of the season.
Right.
Erica was better for his game. If he votes out Erica there, Ricard has nowhere to go.
See, I don't know though because
The guys aren't going to work with him.
the guys aren't gonna work with him, but I could see Ricard getting rid of Erica and then latching on to Heather. Okay, Heather's gonna latch on to him. Okay, and then let Shan self destruct because he knew she was going to. So let her mess it up for herself. That's what I think would have happened. Is Ricard would have taken Heather, pulled back a little bit, maybe done a little bit of apology, a little bit of I'm your puppet type of play, and let Shan be the control freak that she is, and let it mess it up for herself. And then when
See,
she
I
messed
think
it up
I
for
think
herself, come in and take over and pull Liana and get rid of the men. That's what I think could have worked for him. You know what I mean? But
I think he made the right choice because let's face it, he was one twist away from probably winning the game.
yeah,
If that twist wasn't the advantage wasn't there, he probably wins final five, and he has a really good chance at winning a final four or making a fire. He has
yep,
two opportunities to make it to the end where he probably wins at the end.
yeah.
So I think he made the right decision. Now hindsight's 2020 because I get to see the
It is. Yes,
results,
we know what's going on.
but yeah, did Deshaun and Danny do the right thing on turning on Shan?
Deshaun and Danny, no,
No, it was an awful
it
move.
was an awful move. Yeah,
They
I
literally went. It literally went Shan, Liana, Danny in a, in a row. It
feel
was
like
an
we're
awful move.
all over again if we voted
Yeah.
Carl out.
What would you say the best new twist of the season was?
um, hmm. I don't even know if there is one. Because I'll tell you right now, I didn't like the um ship wheel that much. I mean, that was probably the. I guess it was okay. The ship wheel was okay. I did not like fighting your way to immunity or to merge. I did not like the hourglass twist. I did not
Mhm.
like do or die. I didn't like final five. I didn't like
I like the shot in the dark.
knowledge without power. Hated that one.
I like the shot in the dark.
I did like shot in the dark. Yeah, let's pick that one. I
I
would
think
say
the
that was
shot
a
in the
good one.
dark or the
Yeah,
not swapping, but that's really not a new thing. It just hasn't done it in a long time.
yeah.
What would you say the worst new twist was?
Not or the knowledge of power.
The knowledge of power. There's
Yeah.
so many for this. There's
So
so many.
do or die. I
Do
hated the
or
do or die
die was
twist. I
awful.
hate it.
The hourglass was awful.
Also, too, let me just go back and rant about do or die for a second. Like final seven in the game is so important. That is a huge, huge point in the game. If final seven vote, and to just throw that twist in there and like ruin that, like it just takes away from the game. It just takes away from.
Yeah,
I hated it.
yeah, I
Hated
hated
it.
that too. There's so many worse new twists. To
Ugh,
me, I would. God, there's so many that were so bad.
so bad.
There, I'd say the shot in the not the shot in the dark, but the do or die. I think it was dumb. It's too deep in the game. It literally it it was just awful. It was just there was
No,
nothing good
you
about it.
forgot one. The
What?
fucking stupid quotes you have to say in order to activate your idol.
Oh yeah, or you don't get a vote.
Oh, that was so
It
bad.
was so bad. It
They're
was
doing
so
it again.
so bad. I hate it. That was dumb.
Oh.
There's so many. There. All right, let's face it. Almost every twist was the worst twist of the season.
Almost every twist was bad.
Every
Almost
twist
every
was
twist was
bad.
bad. We liked the shot in the dark. Thank
That's
God
about
we
it.
picked that one. That's about
That's
it.
a, that's
Yeah.
about it. The shine and dark can
But
stay.
still great people and doesn't still not a bottom 10 season.
All right. So, if no hourglass twist, who wins the season?
Ricard.
I think Shan might win the season
Really? I don't
because
I think she's gonna fuck it up. She fucked it up too much for
yeah,
herself.
I can say that, but like
Mhm.
I just feel like the guys would have made themselves too big of a targets. They would have want to go after
You
Ricard.
guys didn't want to work together. That was their
Yeah,
problem.
I think a woman was winning the season. It was pretty dominated by women throughout the season, besides Ricard.
Strong women casting.
Yeah. I think Ricard, and it was to me it was Ricard as a male player, and then the next best male player was maybe Sander, and that's not even a strong.
I
Deshaun had moments.
Yeah.
Danny had moments. Nasir
I mean,
was,
Evie is a they, so
yeah,
put her in her or put them in their own category. But I mean, Evie was a great player. I
yeah.
think that Evie had a good social game in the sense of like she had like that Kim Spradlin effect where like she could talk to you or they could talk to you and you would listen to them and be like, okay, I get what you're saying. I want to work with that. I get, they did that with Deshaun. They did that with, what, like when they met Deshaun on the island and was talking about Xander's advantage and stuff. I feel like Evie has that ability to get people to trust them
Mm.
by talking to them and making them feel good.
I feel like
A little bit of Kim Spradlin effect in her and them.
Thay's biggest issue was,
Stop having pronouns. I'm trying so hard.
yeah, was definitely the the vote where they kept Xander. It was an awful move for her. She told Deshaun that she's getting rid of Xander. She should have got rid of Xander there. Because by not doing so, for one, you lied to Deshaun, so you kind of burned that a little bit.
And
Then
Deshaun was
Deshaun,
already irritated with Shan anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then Deshaun blew up they spot Evie spot by throwing it out there. Say, hey, Xander, I knew about Xander's idol. I knew about this. I knew about that because I was told it, and so
Yeah.
that really hampered Evie's game.
Evie's
So
game. Yeah.
yeah, but as a season as a whole, what did you think you'd rank it as?
Let me look. My official.
To me,
Oh,
I think it's between 25 and like 32, 33. I haven't sat down and did like official rankings, but to me, it's around there.
let me look and see here. See, I have them all listed. Winners. I got a problem. I have 41 ranked. Uh, 31st.
Yeah,
So it is a
uh,
bottom 10. I guess literally a bottom. It's the 10 bottom, top of the
nah,
bottom 10 for me.
yeah, it's
But yeah.
it's, and I feel like the twist really hurt it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really where the roller coaster began.
And
Like
the
the
bad
cast is great,
editing.
and then you get these dumb twists that really hurt the
Yeah.
the pacing of the game, and it didn't add to it. It hurt it. Like the
Yeah.
do or die hurt it. That advantage at Final Five for no reason hurt it. Um, the hourglass, we literally had an episode that mattered
Hour.
to it didn't matter nothing. The whole episode was a waste of our time.
Yeah.
Like you can literally skip that episode and nothing would matter. So yeah, that's where I think about ranking. And Erica as a player, I'd probably rank around the same,
Yep.
25 to about 33 ish.
Yeah. I
I
think
think
that
she's
I mean, we're sitting here like saying like, oh, it's such a good season, like blah blah blah, and like it's like Frank said earlier, it's literally because of the casting. Like the players were so good, we enjoyed them. They did a good job of editing likable players, and I like that. But watching it from a game perspective, they didn't do Erica a winning game justice, and that's something that we have to
I
say.
think they focus too much on the spectacle of the twist too much and not the relationships of the players.
Yep.
Like I would want to have seen her relationship with Ricard, her relationship with Heather. Like if they started out as a power duo and they made the final four, like that
Yeah.
should be a storyline going into the
Exactly.
season. Like going deep in the season. And it wasn't mentioned until final five, really. Or they mentioned them being a duo, a pair at the Nasir vote,
Yeah.
but other than that, those are the two episodes that was only mentioned. Why is it only mentioned in those two episodes? It just baffles my mind.
Enough. Yeah.
As a winner, you know they're winning. They edit the show after the season. So they know Erica's winning. Like you think that'd be very important to establish that relationship with Heather, her relationship with Card, which is very vital throughout the game, her relationship with Xander. Like we didn't get to see those established like concrete of how they came to form, what made it decisions go that way, or like as a strategic standpoint, we understand them going together, but we didn't get to see them like we need each other type thing, or who initiated. We didn't see none of that. It's just um I feel like with a better editing, less twists, this season could be a top 20 season
Agreed.
with the cast.
Agreed.
The advantages and the editing really ruined a lot of the experience throughout the season.
Too many advantages for sure.
Too many advantages, too many twists.
From literally beginning to end, too many advantages.
Yeah. It was there was literally I think a twist or something like that for like 3 rounds straight or something like that. It was dumb. Throughout the merge was what they merge at. How many people were on the
They
jury?
don't later merge.
I think it was like 11 or 12 people. No, 11 people jury. No, 11
Well,
people
the
more.
vote was 710.
So that's
Nine
eight.
person or no.
So it's 11. 11 jury. 11 merge. 11-person merge.
Yeah, because not everyone who merged was on jury.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, Sydney was the only one
Yeah.
who they didn't become merged until Sydney was gone.
Hmm.
And she got screwed over royally
Oh
too.
yeah.
Like she was in that okay position.
That was probably the most interesting tribal. Was that tribal?
Yeah, and it was her game got blown up because of a twist.
Mm-hmm.
And that's never good to
Try to use
see.
the twist to save herself, and it didn't work.
Yeah, so yeah, that's where I think I really I'm hopeful for 42. As long as the cast, I feel like as long as they cast strong and they don't need to make this many crazy twists with the game.
No.
The game wasn't broken. The casting was broken. Fix the casting, add a little bit things here or there,
Yeah.
add a theme every once in a while, or add a twist every once in a while. That's fine, but we don't need. How many twists do we have this season? Let's just count
So many.
them. We
So
had the
many.
do or die, the shot in the dark, the hourglass, the advantage for no reason, the wheel, the idols, the no rice,
Knowledge without power.
knowledge without power. The reading of the votes was kind of a twist at the tribal. I mean, really didn't. 29 days. That's 10 twists right there.
Differences or twists. Oh, the idol. You don't have to say the stupid phrases to get the
Yeah,
idol. Yeah.
losing your vote for that. It's just that's too many. Cut that in the third. You need 2 twists a season, maybe. That's
Yeah.
it. Uh, but overall, we enjoyed it. Um, we missed Survivor. We'll get another one here in a month.
Yeah. That's crazy. A month. No,
Yeah,
2 months, right? Is it March is when it comes?
I thought it was in February.
I thought it was in March.
I think it was February. Here, let me
Let me look at
do a
we'll look
quick
it up.
cool.
You're looking it up now.
Yeah, March 9th. You're right.
March 9th. Okay.
So 2 months.
2 months. Literally. Yeah, 2 months.
Yeah, 2 months away. Um,
Oh,
we
such a
are
big deal
for
if I start.
yeah, we're for sure recording Africa tomorrow. We've been trying to
I've
get this.
watched these episodes 4 times for this man.
I'm
4
sorry.
times. All 3 of them. 4
I've
times.
watched 3 times myself, so this give me a fourth time. I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna listen to them real quick. We'll record tomorrow when we get the season get going.
I'm gonna start making you play super fans when you don't do record. Like I'm gonna do.
Oh, by the way, we hosted our football league, and we had people like Justin Vreeland, Tony Ford, uh, James Mike, who's joined us in the podcast.
James,
Um,
Hector,
yeah, Hector,
Zach.
Derek, Zach, people I play with Super Duper with.
I was the
It,
lone lady.
she was the lone lady, and your boy came out on top. Right now,
He won
6.
$360. We're mad at him. We don't like him anymore. Who got second?
Zach did. He
Zach
had
did.
40. I won 3 money leagues. One of them I won $80 in. The other one I won 360. And then the next one I think I won like 2 something. Money, money, money,
Whatever. He's cheating.
money. Hey man, orgs, man, not doing orgs really helped me play fantasy football.
That's another
Like,
conversation we're gonna have. When are you gonna play again? Because this is ridiculous. I've been waiting on you to play for almost a year now.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have the time.
You did back then?
I know, but my kids are way harder now. Um, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I keep saying like, oh, after this, after this, after this, and then it's just like it keeps getting pushed back. Like there's just little things I don't want to be busy for, and my life has been really busy lately, as you know. So it's kind of like I'm not gonna just play to just not play. Really, don't
Right.
have the time to play. So when I have the time, I might give it a shot again. Who knows? Maybe I'll stay retired. I'll come out some crazy
Boring.
time. I won't even tell you, Amanda. All of a sudden, I'll just show up and show up in cast photo, and you're gonna be like, "What? What?" I'm not gonna tell anybody. I'll just show up.
Whatever you want.
But thank you guys for watching. I know we've been behind. It's partially my fault. I'm sorry. Um, well, we're gonna get back onto it. Thank you guys for watching. Please give us a like, follow, comment. What did you guys think of this season? I'm gonna share the questions that we answered today. I would love to see what your guys think and your answers would be. Thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.